and think again.
Sure. Okay. But maybe I can tell you that MindLab was started back in 2001 by a small group of people, about 5 individuals, who were government officials, but who were burning to introduce creativity and new ways of working to the world of government. And so MindLab was created as an innovation unit, as a creativity place, and we had designers employed, we had sociologists employed, and also classical government bureaucrats who wanted to try something new. And MindLab was designed by 2 artists who created the space we're in, and who really, in that way, made a radical new kind of room or area for government officials to innovate. And since then, MindLab has been expanded from just being owned or being part of the Ministry of Economic and Business Affairs to also having employment and taxation as two more ministries involved. And we've become much more focused in the last 2-3 years on involving citizens in the process. So from being a creativity space, we've moved to being a research and innovation-oriented unit that involves business owners and citizens in the process of what we do. And we work on areas, everything from climate change to employment to business development, in close collaboration with both civil servants and with citizens, and trying to create an impact in those areas. The challenges we're seeing, of course, is that it's a change process, seeing the world from the outside in, seeing it with the eyes of the citizens rather than from the eyes of the government officials. And so it's a big change. It's a 180-degree shift to see things from the outside. And so it's also a cultural change for government to look at it that way. So MindLab has become, and is still, I think, a change agent to try to see the world in a different way.
What was the hardest moments or hard steps in the short life of MindLab?
Well, I think one of the hardest moments was that just when MindLab was established back in 2001, the government changed. So for 4 or 5 months, nobody knew if this new area would actually be shut down again. But the new minister then was finally introduced to MindLab and thought it was a great idea, and so it actually got to live. So I think when MindLab was born, in fact, it was a very critical moment, and it was a risk that because of the change in government, we wouldn't survive. But we survived, and I think the challenging thing is to reinvent a place like MindLab. So the next big challenge, of course, is to see what comes after citizen involvement. What is the next thing we should be good at doing here? But we'll see when that happens.
And what was or what is the best moment or best project or the most significant moment in the MindLab life?
Well, I think we've contributed directly to some of the major government strategies over the last couple of years here in Denmark. We've contributed very clearly to the government policy to attract highly qualified workers to Denmark. So 40 or 50 new ideas about how to get qualified workers to Denmark, and they're being implemented now. We've just contributed to a major climate change strategy for both getting businesses to grow and tackling the climate challenge. So we've been a very, very strong part of that. And we've also worked on deregulating businesses, looking at a totally new way of how businesses feel about regulation. So what is irritating and what is annoying about government regulation, and that's also just been implemented as policy by the government. So we've really contributed to some very big packages of policy. And in a small way, I think when we look at some of the services that we help develop, we right now developed a service to help people with a workplace injury to get much better service, a faster decision-making process, and much more simple communication. And sometimes I think that it's the small things that citizens experience when they are in trouble that government can do to help. That's actually the most effectful that we do.
Mm-hmm. And finally, what would you think what will be the main research or working areas for you in MindLab in the next 5 years, for example?
Well, I think the financial crisis is putting a new pressure on government, and so I think an area will be to how can we come up with better service that are less costly than today. So how can we at the same time develop something smarter but do it for less money. I think that's going to be an overall strategic challenge for us. And one way to do it, of course, is to help digitize many more public services and to find out how can citizens be co-producers of those services rather than just passive recipients. So I think that's going to be a frame, I think, for the next 5 years.
Okay.